And welcome to the Hot Lap driver ratings. Yeah, we're going to rate and slate the drivers. We go from worst driver to best driver. So, drum roll. To be fair, I'm going to call it out now. The worst driver was not even a driver. The worst people were the Ferrari pit crew for their absolutely embarrassing antics at the Miami Grand Prix. The switcheroo from Leclerc to Hamilton to Leclerc, all basically playing out in public was embarrassing to say the least. I think I said in our race report their faces should be as red as their cars. Now on to the worst driver. Now, to be fair, I was going to put one driver in last, but then another driver I think just about topped it, and it's this guy here. I know, shock horror. Why was Carlos Sainz last? Well, let's go to the sprint race. He's looking good. He's looking good for point. He's looking like he could potentially get points, and then he goes and smacks the barrier and then spins out of the race. Also, in the actual race itself, he has that absolutely desperate lunge on Hamilton where he may or may not have had a 10-second penalty. Probably could have taken both of them out of the race. Kind of embarrassing, and just T-bones him and then says he moved under braking. To be fair, Hamilton did indeed turn in a bit earlier than before. But moving under braking, you're not. You're just turning into the corner, and Sainz very much is not turning into the corner. Kind of embarrassing for Williams, simply because he threw away points, and potentially at the time of writing, there is no penalty. But the potential was he could have thrown away even more points for Williams. You are better than that, Sainz. You are a Grand Prix winner, a potential world champion, given the right car. Embarrassing, but not. But this guy did a moment that nearly topped all of Sainz's moments. And it's Charles Leclerc. Now, as good as you are, yeah, qualified Hamilton. He beat Hamilton in the race. However, didn't even start the sprint race, did he? Intermediate tyres. You could blame Ferrari for that, but Charles Leclerc is his own man. He could have gone no. I think even Lewis Hamilton said no to the intermediate tyres. But no, Charles Leclerc is a good boy. Okay. Goes out on the inters, absolutely hoons it around a corner, and aquaplanes. Should have tiptoed around it. I know he was trying, but that's got to be the most embarrassing thing to Charles Leclerc, in spite of the fact that yes, you did finish. What was it for the race again? 8th? 7th? Oh, it's embarrassing, wasn't it? Yeah, that's why you're there. Next up, this man here. Sorry, didn't out-qualify Hadjar for the race. Sad times. In the sprint race, he took out Fernando Alonso in a racing incident, but yes, Alonso did push him wide, but then he should have known, coming back on the track, I'm going to take Fernando Alonso out. So, silly Billy Lawson. First corner wasn't necessarily his fault, but then he did qualify not particularly great. Liam Lawson not doing well. That well, really, yeah. Is he? Oliver Behrman. So, qualifying for Oliver Behrman, let's be honest, was most certainly not his forte. Starting last in the, sadly, in the, well, was it both the sprint qualifying, I believe, and the actual race itself? 19th in the end. Well, yeah, qualifying last. And for that mistake in practice, yeah, Behrman's worst weekend so far, I believe. So, next up, we've got Gabriele Bortoleto retired from the race. I think he fared really well. He out-qualified Nico Hulkenberg for the race, didn't he? He did fare really well, which is why, obviously, Nico Hulkenberg is next. They're kind of like even Stevens, I think. Next up, though, I mean, what can you say? They have a bad car. So do these guys here. Lance Stroll, once again, the car is absolutely shocking. As much I'm the first one to say, Lance, you did not do a good job. Maybe far too quick to say that. No, not really very good at all there, really. So moving on, Jack Doohan, yes, he out-qualified Gasly. Well done. And then that was that first corner mistake. Shouting on in qualifying when he didn't quite understand what was going on was kind of it. Understandable, but slightly embarrassing. Not good there. Fernando Alonso involved in that tussle with Liam Lawson. Could have got points. His first points of the year, no less, but no. And then in the race, Stroll 15th, one lap down. Aston Martin need to really get their stuff together. Pierre Gasly, okay weekend. I mean, remember, Alpine we all thought was potentially the 5th or 6th fastest car, so he finished 13th in the race, which kind of suggests that he got beaten by Ocon in the race. I probably should have put Ocon a bit higher, but it's kind of like they're all kind of like jumbled up. But here we go then. Here are the tasty ones though. So Yuki Tsunoda got a point for Red Bull. Well done. But what a silly Billy in the pit lane. What a silly Billy by getting kind of like almost out of control, coming in the pits and getting that 5-second penalty, which is why for Isaac Hadjar ahead of him, just 1.5 tenths off a point well done, Isaac Hadjar. Next up, we've got this man here, Lewis Hamilton. About as good as I guess he could have done. Didn't qualify for Ellen Troth. Amazing in the sprint race. Based on the sprint race alone, it would have been absolutely amazing. Fumbled by kind of like Ferrari strategy, but his bad qualifying put him in a bad position for the race. Having said that, I think, like Leclerc, he got the most out of the Ferrari. So, yeah, well done to George Russell. Another podium, but the reason why he's a bit further down than some others, he kind of lucked into that podium. I think he did luck into that podium. So, yeah, another one. But you've got to be in it to win it, don't you? Next up, we have Max Verstappen. So, in spite of his maybe questionable tactics, he did a solid job, I think, in the race. About as good as the Red Bull was going to get, really. Really struggling in the end on the race pace, particularly after the two McLarens passed him. But this man is ahead of him simply because he got the pole position in the sprint race, sprint qualifying, after just one practice session on a track he's never been to. Imagine that. Absolutely amazing. He is smashing the record. What a weekend he's had. Yes, not particularly in the races, but also, what's it, qualifying third for the main race as well? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, not third for the main race. He didn't qualify third, but he was up there for the main race. My apologies. Next up, we've got Lando Norris, who should have won the race. He should have got pole. He should have won the race. Because he did not get pole, he put himself in a position to potentially not win the race. And that, basically, when you look in hindsight now, with his little whoops-a-daisy with Max Verstappen, where Max, yes, he would have pushed him off the track. It was maybe a tiny bit controversial. The stewards didn't do anything about it. I get that. And he was the fastest car driver combination of the weekend, but again, not winning the race. So we've also got Alex Albon. Why is he so far up? He's just done a really solid job, and to get fifth, I mean, beats Antonelli, Leclerc, Hamilton, his teammate, Tsunoda in the other car, in a fast car as well. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. But he's not man of the race, because this guy's man of the race. He pretty much owned Verstappen. He Verstappen again in terms of racecraft. He is becoming a potential Australian legend, a future Formula 1 champion, maybe, at least. When you look at the bookies, he's slowly becoming the F1, well, the Formula 1 championship favourite is Oscar Piastri. So let's quickly all go through them again. Well, I need to, but I've got to kind of like delete all of them now, sadly. So, what do you guys think of the race? I thought it was absolutely brilliant. From the first 20 laps were absolutely amazing. Then we kind of had the virtual safety car section as people were slowly going off, and it suddenly wasn't particularly great. And then we had the absolute sitcom that was the Ferrari strategy, the Ferrari pit wall, which was an absolute joke. And you just need to see. I implore you all to get all the interviews done. To listen to all the interviews with the Ferrari after. It's kind of funny. But anyway, let's remind you, in last place was Carlos Sainz, trying to take out Lewis Hamilton, took himself out of the sprint race. Leclerc took himself out of the sprint race by not even being in the sprint race, whoops-a-daisy. Liam Lawson, not particularly good out qualified, boogie at the first corner. Behrman qualifying last. Bortoletto, what can you say with Bortoletto and Hockenberg? They just have a bad car. As does Lance Stroll, I kind of forgive him. Esteban Ocon, kind of average. Jack Doohan, kind of average, but out qualified his more experienced teammate. Alonso, in a bad car, what can you do? Gasly, solid-ish. Tsunoda, lucky to get a point after that penalty. Hadjar, unlucky to get a point after Tsunoda's penalty. Lewis Hamilton did an amazing job in the sprint race, but still needs to work on that qualifying. George Russell lucked into a podium. Max Verstappen, slightly dodgy tactics. He ended up cracking under pressure with Oscar Piastri. Antonelli, youngest sprint pole person ever. But brilliant. What can I say? Fantastic. Lando Norris coulda, woulda, should have won the race. Should have got pole. Alex Albon really up there. Absolutely maxed out on everything in the race for 5th place. And Oscar Piastri, well, is he the next Verstappen? Moving on, if you want to, give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. But until then, thank you for watching. Speak to you soon, but above all else, stay safe.